Welcome to this month's episode of The Breeze. I'm Doug Wright, along with co-host Tina Thompson and Margie Bruiser. And we're experiencing some beautiful fall weather here in Sun City. But I have to tell you, that brings up the old phrase, uh-oh, here come the holidays. And they're coming up on us sooner than you thought, and it's going to be a real show because people are ready to break loose, travel, meet up with folks they haven't seen, family. What do you think's going to happen this year with everybody traveling back home?
Oh boy, stand by.
Well, if I'm the hostess, I better think up something in advance to announce as they sit down at the table.
Have some background music.
Yeah.
Background music, ground rules. And when you get a bad opinion, or what you consider to be a wrong opinion, use a little discretion. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just one thing in life we disagree on. Why make such a big deal?
Learning survival skills.
We're learning listening skills and understanding. What does that bring to mind for you, Tina?
Turkey and dressing. I'm ready.
Okay, how about you, Margie?
A whole lot of people at one table.
A whole lot of people at one table, and what does that cause?
Oh, a lot of good discussion, I understand. Hopefully.
You understand?
Yeah. Yeah, different opinions, different things happen during the year, different takes on their family members.
Well, this year, as I say, ought to be a real show because everybody's going to have COVID stories and everybody's going to have, this, that, and the other thing. But mostly it causes stress is what it does. And when you disagree with someone and you haven't seen your in-laws in a while, you never liked them anyway, and then they're running their mouth, what is that? Everybody has an opinion and everybody has to share it. And why is that? Well, why does it manifest at the holidays?
Because we're human, and I think what's happened is that we all have these pent-up desires to talk and speak and be heard because, we've been, sequestered with, just one or two people. Now we got an audience, and some of those people just want to show out.
Yeah, and if there are sort of long-term, you might say, friction at the dinner table over the years, there's usually a topic that springs up that everybody wants to jump in on, unless the host and hostess lay some really strong ground rules.
Well, and often those ground rules are ignored, of course. But you know what? Well, how do you form your opinion on something? Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got a nose. Everybody's got an opinion on every issue, and whether you voice it or not is kind of the issue. And how do you form your opinions?
Well, I know sometimes I form an opinion by my circle of people.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I listen to what they have to say, and sometimes I go like, really, they think that? And you're making an opinion about them. But the key is, if you're going to act on something, you really need to do your research and your homework because it can come back and bite you, you know where.
Mm-hmm. On your nose. I know where. Well, why do you, let me ask you this question. You say they're wrong. Does that mean you're always right?
Not like you, Doug, no.
No. Well, there is that, but go ahead. I mean, when you are voicing an opinion, isn't that really just throwing out a challenge to somebody to refute you? And if they try, then you form an opinion, as you said, about them and say, well, they don't know squat about this because my opinion is my opinion.
Right. Well, some people don't recognize that it's their opinion. They want to make it the law. Mm-hmm. If you don't agree with that, then I'm right, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think as an audience or people who are in these kind of situations, we have to learn self-discipline. We have to learn to shut our mouths. We have to learn phrases that are calming. We have to learn how to get up from the table and use the restroom.
Well, get a little older, you know how to do that. Okay, well, Margie, what do you think? I mean, this obviously can cause great division among people.
Yeah, and I'm sure, too, a lot of apprehension and angst while people are going to family and friend occasions these next few weeks. But just so we get a clear what is this? An opinion is a view or judgment formed about something, not necessarily based on fact or feeling. And it's like everybody has one. And there are some opinions I have that nobody will ever know because I don't want to lay them out there and I don't want to be, chastised for it. Because it's really kind of moved into that sort of a wrangling, I think, anymore in terms of what it separates people. It's not healthy discussion.
Mm-hmm. So are we over as a society, we're over meaningful discussion because we're too afraid to voice an opinion that might offend somebody?
I think we may be. We don't hear that soft side, though, on the networks. And so if we turn that on, there's always this pull.
Yeah, that device.
Well, they're
Divisiveness.
paid to have an opinion on either side of an issue. Okay, most people aren't paid to have an opinion.
No, that's true.
Now, but they state an opinion, and depending on who they are, and your opinions have been formed about a person long before they utter a word, in many cases, okay?
Yeah.
You look at me and I'm wearing a medical bracelet and I've got a mustache and whatever, and people have already formed an opinion about what kind of person I am.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if we're talking about holidays and families, there's a lot of tradition.
Okay.
And there's a lot of stuff that's dragged on generation to generation, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on who appears at the dinner. Have you ever gone to a family dinner and someone couldn't make it and everybody kind of goes,
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't know because I'm the one not making it.
Okay.
But yeah, that certainly is true. And the long-standing sibling rivalries and
Yes.
mom and dad are rich and getting old and who's getting the goods and
Gee.
that sort of, that happens way, way too much,
Yeah.
as we've talked about before. But
And we have to remember that the kids are watching. Our behavior impacts what they think. And going forward, do we really want our children to behave negatively and not be accepting of opinions and understand that's that person's opinion? So we're setting the stage for the future.
yeah, I think it's far too rare where someone says, this is my opinion only, not based on fact or anything else. And then they state a strong position, and everybody thinks he's relying on whatever, And then you've got the influence of celebrity opinions. You've got the influence of the TV talking heads you talked about.
And social media in general. It doesn't have to be a celebrity.
That's right.
I know you don't do it, but it's around you.
Yeah.
And some of it's going to slap you in the face whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's sort of a matter of who do you trust, and then it's combined with were you really listening? So
It's just that it's so loud anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's repetitive, and you get kind of caught up in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's new for us in the last 30 years, I think, or more or less. But we're surrounded by it unless we just turn off the TV. And that's about what it might have to be sometimes.
And turn off that person.
And turn off the person.
Because that talking head, sometimes you just have to.
Yep. And if somebody at that, let's say at the family table, I'm going back to that analogy again, they just may have to say, I don't really have an opinion about that yet. I have to think about that and do a little more research, rather than just whisk an answer out and it kindles the fire more.
Yeah, and it's interesting when someone renders an opinion. If I give you my opinion on how you're dressed today, for example, you might think, is he being honest? Right?
Well, first I'd say,
Is he just trying to please me? Or what's his motive?
does he have fashion sense?
But I guess my point is, that, when you're judging somewhat someone's saying, whether it's fact, fiction, or opinion, you have to understand that person may have an ulterior motive okay? You know, if you're trying to please somebody, you might say something you don't believe in. But you say it very convincingly as an opinion.
And since we're at dinner, that might be the best, what's that casserole that I can't stand, the string bean casserole that everybody brings.
Everybody has it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, Auntie Smith, you know, that's really great. And you go like, oh, God.
Well, I mean, there is that, but I mean, I'm trying to get you guys to focus on, you know, what causes the divisiveness and so on. And it really may be just the fact that that person isn't being completely honest with you, that you're listening to, or you're not listening accurately.
I think we have to challenge them and ask, you know, what is your source? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, so-and-so, you know, you seem to be adamant about, you know, what you just said, you know. What's your source? You know, how did you form that opinion? You know, take them to task on it. Some of us don't want to do that. And again, it might be the time to get up and go to the bathroom.
Or have an individual conversation and not involve the whole world in it.
Yeah,
You
well-
know, because sometimes they just get so loud and noisy, and you're not making any progress at
No.
all. And having an opinion shouldn't define who we are. We are much more than our opinions.
Ooh, that's
But
interesting.
we get thrown into buckets because of an opinion, be that a political bucket, be that
Fashion,
that's fashion, yeah.
whatever, yeah.
And that's just a little piece of us. And sometimes I think we almost have to say, you know, I'm not so sure about that yet, so let's wait and have a discussion later.
Now, it also depends upon how strongly you voice that opinion.
Yeah.
Because if you are very verbose about that, then to me, that does define a part of who you are. Maybe I might not like that,
Yeah.
you know, and maybe I'll take you to task, like you say, later or one-on-one. But sometimes when you give fuel to that in a family setting or a group setting, the person just gets louder and louder.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because does speaking louder or more aggressively make it more correct?
Yeah, they think so.
No.
Or maybe nobody's ever listened to them before, and that's you know, that's been a problem all their life.
Yeah. But, and there's some, I tried to find it on Google and I couldn't who actually said this, but it was a person of some distinction. And he said, if you say it slowly, say it softly, and say it with conviction, the person will believe what you're saying. I think that's really not how it maybe goes so much as it is, oh yeah, well, you know, we can't play golf anymore, we can't do that. You know, the whole batch.
You frequent your golf game partners and you frequent your neighbors and they're talking, and some of them always feel inclined to share aggressively their opinion on something, on somebody's backyard, on politics or politicians, on millennials or whatever, when you're really not interested in that, but they feel like they have to share. And that's why I don't do social media, or one reason, is everybody seems to think I care what they think, and I don't.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you want to say your opinion softly and with conviction, and I don't care about your opinion, it's not going to matter.
No, that's true.
That's okay.
But it might not fuel the fire. You know, and I think that's what happens. It
Yeah.
gets to be, oh yeah, well, he's a Republican, and the banter starts, and pretty soon it gets to be, well, did you see this, and what did he say, and then it becomes a thing that you may have to revisit in order to become friends again. And
Well, that's right. And then, you know, there's sort of a momentum if you start agreeing and expounding on, you know, ex-politician, pencil in your name, is a moron. And you say, oh, yeah, I agree, he's a moron. And then the third guy comes in and says, man, did you hear what he said the other day? He's a moron. And suddenly it becomes fact.
so then those three should get together and have their own little conversation.
Well,
at
that's-
Thanksgiving
Yeah, you
dinner.
got
And also, I think that being that many of us are aware of this divisiveness, that we can engage and maybe add something different to the conversation to change the direction. I think we need to learn how to maneuver those situations.
Well, that sounds manipulative.
Well, yeah, but
It is, but
if
in
it
a
works,
healthy way.
but if it works, then why not?
Healthy manipulation, huh?
Absolutely.
You do that with your children all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
No, not anymore. Okay, well, let me throw out another concept and see what you think. Is there such a concept as conditional or conditioned, I'll say, listening? In other words, if you are starting off to talk about a topic which I feel strongly about, and you say something that differs from what I believe, then I'm already conditioned to hate your opinion. You think so? Think that's a problem?
I think it's a problem in that, equation. Perhaps you weren't really listening. You were just waiting
No,
to
I
give
was,
an answer.
I was, well, perhaps, but I was listening to every word. Let's assume I'm a good listener. I listen to every word and I just shake my head. Most times I don't respond too badly because I just don't care about that person anymore. You know what I mean? I know.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture. Well, it's also true that if you look up the word, for example, smarm in the dictionary, I picture certain politicians.
What word?
Smarm.
I don't know
Well,
that one.
look it up. You never heard of a smarmy person?
Spineless person.
Smarmy.
Oh, swarmy. No.
Smarmy.
Can't even spell it. Spell it, Doug.
S-M-A-R-M-Y.
I would have put a Q in it. Okay.
Okay.
Smarmy, no.
Well, we went out on the street and talked to some residents and asked them some questions about their opinions. And we got some interesting thoughts. So let's take a look.
You're traveling for the holidays, sitting there with family and friends. What's going to be your biggest challenge in conversation?
Politics. Because of what's all happening in our world today, we have kind of a divided family. So we have people on one side, people on the other side. So that will be really a big discussion. Cause a lot of rift.
A lot of people are going to be traveling these holidays with family and friends. One of the biggest concerns is conversation at the table. What's your biggest concern?
Well, I think probably there's many concerns, but the biggest concern would be either COVID or the price of gas, or just two examples.
Thanksgiving and the holidays are coming up, and one of the big concerns when people travel is the conversation at the table. Do you have any concerns?
Personally, no, I don't. I'm fairly open to a lot of things.
So if somebody brings up a strange conversation or word, how are you going to handle it?
Well, actually, I'm traveling through the holidays, so I'll be going overseas, so I'll see how they handle it too. So, but I think I'm open to both sides of any topic, whether it be politics or the holidays or COVID or all the things we're going through now. So.
Okay. The holidays are coming up, and one of the biggest things that happens at the dining table is conversation. What's your biggest concern about that topic?
Well, as the father of 4 girls, it's whatever they want it to be.
So you just go along with whatever they say, huh?
Exactly. If I can get a word in edgewise, I'm lucky.
Cool. The holidays are here and people are going to be traveling and seeing family and friends. One of the biggest dreaded things are conversations at the table. What's your concern?
Conversations at the table.
What kinds of things do you expect?
Political differences, COVID or related issues, masks, no masks, vaccine, no, all the typical stuff. My family is small but very mixed in these beliefs, and everybody is very strong about what they think. So we're going to have to sign a blood agreement before everybody comes. They're coming to my house. So I may require them to sign a blood agreement that no politics. Kind of difficult to manage, but we're going to try. We all love each other very much, and we all really want to respect each other's opinions.
Holidays are coming up. Ooh. Yeah. And the topic of conversations at the dinner table can be quite challenging. How are you going to handle it?
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, I guess.
Have you ever had to diffuse something?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You're the peacemaker then?
Oh, yeah. I'm a great grandfather as of 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
The holidays are coming up and the dreaded table conversations. What's your biggest concern
Politics.
and how you handle it? What are you going to do?
Everybody has to keep their opinions to themselves with politics at my house.
How are you going to do that?
I'm just going to say out front, no politics.
All right. Now, you said no politics. Have you dealt with that in the past?
Yes.
What'd you do?
I just said we're not going to discuss it, and that's it. That,
And they followed what you said.
yes, it's my home. They do what I say in my home.
Okay, we're back, and ladies, let's explore that a little bit. Whether it's smarmy or whether it's courageous or whatever the definition is, you generally associate that with somebody based on your opinion of them, and you're conditioned to believe that that person is in such a way, however you want to describe them, and therefore you kind of discount the opinion you're listening to. Conditioned listening.
I
No?
would say maybe if you take somebody as what you would call a loudmouth,
A loudmouth.
a loudmouth, that you're not going to get anything other from that person except a loud argument.
Mm-hmm.
So why not just avoid the start of that?
Well, how do you do that when that person aggressively shares?
Just say, well, you got your opinion, I've got mine. You know,
Adios.
yeah, that's what the world's made of. If we all thought the same way, yikes. Especially if it wasn't our way.
Right.
I would probably, again, listen. I consider myself a fairly decent listener. And then give a nod or, really. And then go on to something else. Because if it's that person's opinion and I don't really care, then it's not worth my time.
All right,
Yeah.
but if this is a quality friend, quality acquaintance, whatever, that you have judged in the past to be worthy of your attention, whatever, I mean, that's a little
What would I
harsh.
do?
Yeah, I mean, would
I-
you say, I suggest otherwise?
I probably would say, I'd like to have a conversation with you another time. I don't feel this is the setting to do that. Maybe over a glass of wine, which I love to do. And we can talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah. Or maybe, well, that's very interesting. I hadn't thought about that. And maybe we can talk more, because that doesn't fuel the fire. Still doesn't mean that you're on, quote, that side.
Mm-hmm.
But it does, like, put a blanket over a flame.
Because sometimes with that opinion, I mean, I've had opinions that I've heard that are really, really negative, and I've taken the person to task at another time, and they changed their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, I haven't had that kind of luck. So when do you determine when it's time to just shut up? How's that manifest? How do you decide?
I think you should express it and just say, you know what, we're really not getting anywhere here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go out and have a round of golf or pearly croquet, or let's get together sometime. But this is not, we're not going to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going downhill.
Yeah, I guess, in my case, I would just say, yeah, okay, that's fine.
That's fine too. You don't have to give a graceful
Yeah,
exit.
no. I mean, I'm never going to agree with that person on that particular opinion. And if you're sitting at a dinner table and everybody else is deadly silent, then it's time to shut up.
Yeah.
At least I learned that lesson.
Yeah, you did, huh?
Yeah, I did, long time ago. I'm a better listener than I am a talker. Okay, well, ladies, let's sum up. We're running out of time here, and do you have any final thoughts about getting through the holidays and maybe not sharing your opinions so aggressively?
I think that, when you're going to a dinner or what have you, or a soiree, that you should go in with a good attitude, saying, I'm going to enjoy this. Maybe I don't really want to go, but I'm going to enjoy it and make the best of it. And I think if you go in with a good attitude, you'll survive.
Yeah.
Margie?
And I think if the topic comes up that's divisive, you can almost always say, let's wait on this for another time, pass the gravy.
Well, those are good thoughts and good ending thoughts. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope we get some feedback from you all about this topic. And join us again next month when we explain the word smarmy and again shoot the breeze.